The Astros with an off day on Sunday, and we're back talking baseball with ESPN 97.5's Paul Gallant, and we're joined by a very special guest, our KHOU 11 baseball analyst. We're adding yet another title to his resume. He is your baseball insider, isn't that correct, Paul? Jeremy Booth.
Front office insider for ESPN Houston, and now he is on our television with us. How about that?
Well, without further ado, let's get to talking about those Astros. They are 2-1, but maybe some signs of things that are both good and bad. First of all, the Astros offense, they've scored 6 runs in 3 games. Is this a sign that the offense is not going to be as potent as we may have thought coming into the season? Paul, why don't you start us off?
I think you got to look at one of the statistics for the Astros right now because it seems like an anomaly to me. They're 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position, and they have left 20 guys on base through 3 games. What are the odds that that is going to continue at that rate? I like what we have seen to open up the year. I think that we have noticed the Astros are a lot more patient at the plate. We have seen Isaac Paredes draw a couple of walks. Jose Altuve is doing well at the top of the lineup. I think if the Astros listen to the mission plan for this year, which is, hey, we're going to actually take more pitches and force longer at bats, I do think everything's going to work itself out. But you are right. This is not the best start.
Yeah, and maybe this team going to have to do things in a little bit of a different way this season. Jeremy, I know that's something you and I talked about on opening day.
Yeah, you know, the first series has been indicative of what I think this team's going to have to deal with all year, right? I mean, whether they're going to win in bunches or you know, have some tough streaks to, you know, throughout the year. The 1-run, 2-run games, the minimal margins of error, that's what they're dealing with. And when you talk about leaving guys on base, that kind of goes hand in hand with being patient, right? It's one or the other. Either you can ambush fastballs and get good pitches to hit, or you take a lot of pitches and get yourself into tough counts. And you see a little bit of both. Right? So when you're turning that corner as far as what this club's going to do offensively, if taking pitches is the approach, and they're going to have to go ahead and win those type of games to get in the postseason anyway, it's just the opening series and not any cause for concern.
Now, the starting pitching has been excellent over the first 3 games. 19 innings combined from these starters, and they've only allowed 5 runs. So, is this a sign that the pitching staff is as good as Dana Brown said it would be?
Well, here's the thing with Dana Brown. You got to take everything that he says with a canister of salt. He says things that would make politicians blush. He promises a lot. Look, he's not actually out there pitching and playing. And, hey, I'll give him credit because some of the things that they have done over the last couple of years have been looking pretty good. This is an awesome start for the Astros, and they're going up against a Mets lineup that was above average last year, and it added Juan Soto, so it's a little bit better than it was last season. But, again, it is a 3-game sample size, so I don't want to get too excited and start planning the parade just yet.
And Jeremy, Lance McCullers looking good on Sunday. Is this something that Astros fans should be excited about?
I mean, the fact that he found the mound is probably a good start, right? I mean, it's been a rough couple of years, and he went out there, and it was about what it should be. It's also a short burst. This is a guy who there is a big precedent with role, and even here in Houston, it was Rich Harden, who pitched for a lot of teams, and was on the mound for a period of time and was really good when he was, and then was not for a long period of time. And, you know, it's kind of that, he's kind of that guy. Lance McCullers, if he has 3 or 4, maybe more, outings like he had today, then you might have something to help your bullpen. There is zero reason to rush him back other than whatever's going on with the roster time in the minor leagues and rehab assignments and whatever limits you were into there. There is absolutely no reason after all this time away to rush him back to Dyken Park, right? You want to just go ahead and see him attack and stay resilient and get back on the mound and do it again and then again and then again. And after he's done that 7 or 8 times, again, you want to make sure he's going to be durable to do it. So it's a good start. It was a good sign. I think we got to pump the brakes on what that ultimately means just because of the history, but it was very encouraging. That's the way to say it.
Very encouraging. And speaking of very encouraging, I think a lot of Astros fans would say it was very encouraging seeing Jose Altuve in left field over these first 3 games. He had to make a couple of those decision plays, right? Calling off Jeremy Pena one time and then also making another catch in between left and center. Now, he's had 5 hits in 11 at-bats, Does this mean he's comfortable? Is this a good sign that he's going to stick there in left field for this season?
Very small sample size. I do like what we're seeing from him at the plate to open up the year because the Astros offense really hasn't done a whole lot to this point. I do think we have the point, though, at Saturday when Jose Altuve is going towards the left field wall. The Crawford box is at Dyken Park, and he's jumping for it, and he mistimes it, and he's also 5'7", and the ball goes over his head. I think we're going to see a lot of moments like that over the course of the year. And, of course, we had that adventure in the first inning of him in left field with he and Jake Myers. So, look, it's going to be it's going to be, at the very least, a wild ride. Hopefully he doesn't screw up a lot this season.
Jeremy?
Looks like he's going to play some second base. Okay. What I'm hearing is he's going to play a little second base against the Giants. And, whether that happens or not, we'll find out. Look, the bottom line is Jose Altuve can hit. That's it. I mean, that's really where it is at this point in his career. Is he can hit. He's going to lead off. He's still going to steal some bases. He's got to stay somewhat flexible with his body, with his age, with the balance of what that means at this point in your career. I still think he's our primary left fielder, but he's already starting to creep back towards the dirt here a little bit, and we'll see what happens. You got to remember, they got a guy that's not playing every day right now by the name of Mauricio Dubon, and if Dubon goes out to the outfield, you have yourself a Gold Glove defender at 7 different positions on the field, and if you put Altuve back at second, for all the reasons you moved him, it might put Rogers into a better role. Now, I'm not saying that's the move. I'm saying those are all options. And I think you're going to see him play some second against the Giants, and we'll figure it out from there.
Well, this guy has no doubt been the story of the first 3 games of the season, and that's got to be the rookie Cam Smith, who ends up making the opening day roster. He gets a hit on the first pitch of his first at-bat. Cam Smith mania, maybe, hitting Houston. I don't know if we have to pump the brakes on that, but have you seen enough to think that this guy is going to be able to handle himself at the big league level?
We're going to have to see more, but I definitely like what we've seen to open things up. First off, I mean, to get that monkey off of your back in your first at-bat, fantastic. Now, hopefully he doesn't have a slump like we saw from Alex Bregman when he first came up, from Kyle Tucker when he first came up. But also, we've seen him be patient. We've seen him draw walks. I like what I'm seeing to this point. Again, it's very early, but these are very promising signs for Cam Smith, who also to this point has not been a disaster in right field. But again, it's early.
Jeremy, I know we've talked about this extensively. Can he be the quote-unquote aircraft carrier that everyone talks about?
Physically, it's all in there. And after watching him for, Friday and Saturday, or I guess Thursday, Friday, the concern that I have with him is how much power he's going to get to with his approach, right? I'm not worried about his contact. I'm not worried about him swinging and missing a lot. I mean, the guys of old that come back to mind are Paul Molitor and John Olerud with a limited load in their hands, but their setup was way more conventional. His setup's a little bit dropped, and he's got to get in a position, and he just kind of hits from a position of raw strength. Now, that's okay with balls in the middle of the zone and four-seam pitches and balls that you're going to arrive on time with. And it doesn't mean it's not going to work. It doesn't, but it's not traditional. It's a little bit unconventional with what he's going to do in order to go ahead and get to the 260, 270, and 25 they're hoping for, which I don't see the 25 this year. I just don't. In order to get into that, there's a lot more he's going to have to do to get himself in position to drive the baseball. Right now, if somebody throws him something hard, he's not going to miss it. And they're going to supply the power, and he's not going to go ahead and match it. When you get into trouble for hitting home runs is when balls are kind of ambushed and run off the plate a little bit, and balls you can have pitchers get back to the middle of the zone with, and it's going to be a minute. But he's learning at the right time with the right place. He's got some experience around him. He's got some guys who can drive the baseball as well, and so he should get some pitches to hit. We'll find out. He's certainly not overwhelmed by where he is, and that was the start that you wanted to see, was that he could step into Dyken Park, be with the fans, be in Houston, and celebrate without celebrating that he was doing something very few people have done before him.
Yes, and Jeremy mentioning the other day when we were watching Cam Smith at batting practice, a kind of hit-first approach. So we'll see how it goes for the rookie. As for these two guys, Paul Gallant of ESPN 97.5's The Paul Gallant Show. And, of course, you know him, our KHOU 11 baseball analyst, and now the front office insider for ESPN 97.5. He is, of course, Jeremy Booth. Thank you both for being with us.
Anytime.
Yeah, man.